Hey everyone, and welcome to Kaswell's Kappa, the channel where you learn how to work on your Kappa step by step. In today's video, we're going to learn how to install DDMWorks charge pipe mods. We're going to learn how to do this step by step, and I'll even provide torque specs from the service manual to help aid in this install. You can also find the instructions for the charge pipes in the info sheet as well if you need a more hands-on view of the instructions. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so today, like I said, we are installing some of DDMWorks charge pipes. At the moment, I currently have RPM Motorsports. As you can see here, I currently have their charge pipes installed. Now, why would you may ask, why are you changing these out? Are these not sufficient? Well, there's a couple reasons that I'm doing that. For one, you can kind of tell the paint difference. You can see, I mean, I know it's dusty, but so you can see the paint right there. It's kind of like a little banana yellow. And granted, these have been in here for 2-3 years, but they were still the same color. It's not like they've been exposed to the sun or anything. And you come over to DDM's. Let's do this one here. And you look at the color. You got that deep color, and it's powder coat. You see the glitter on there? That's almost like a regular car paint compared to what RPM Motorsport did. I don't know what kind of paint they used. Maybe it was just regular automotive paint. I don't know. All I know is from what it seems like is the paint quality in itself is higher for DDMs than it is RPM Motorsports. And just the paint itself should speak volumes. I mean, if they're taking that amount of care with paint, imagine the type of care they're taking with the other materials they use and whatnot. So second point is, as you can see, RPM Motorsports. So this is the passenger side. This is the inlet to the intercooler, and then this is the outlet. So the inlet charge pipe, as you can see, I have DDMWorks silicon right here, and I also have RPM's turbo, and they use the same paint on the turbo. Look how much that's cracking. But anyway, so you can see the silicon and the charge pipe. They're two different pieces, but for DDM's, as you can see, they increased the length of the charge pipe so that whenever you use their silicon their silicon hose, it's just a small little section, and you don't have this huge amount of space taken up by the silicone, which, by the way, if you have a lot of pressure, that's going to create a vacuum, and that can cut off your air supply. So that also will help out with that. So whenever I take these out, I'm going to do a little comparison, a closer view on these comparisons, so that you can make a decision for yourself. Well, do I want RPMs or do I want DDMs? So now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and take these out and we can install DDMs. So to start off, we're going to remove the outlet or the driver's side charge pipe. To remove this charge pipe, there's a couple things we have to remove. First off, we have a vacuum line right here. Second off, we have a hose clamp down here, which goes into the manifold and then into the engine. And then we have a clamp down here, which is connected straight to the intercooler. Let's see if I can zoom in on that for y'all. Yeah, you can see that clamp right there. I'm also removing those rubber ones and installing silicone ones as well. So, and then third, you have your sensor right here. I forget what it's called. You can change these out whenever you get the upgrade tune. But anyways, we've got to change that out as well. So after those four are removed, we can just kind of take that out. So let's learn how to remove it step by step. Alright, so first off, we're going to remove this vacuum line that's held on by a little spring clip. Just grab a pair of pliers. I know this is a big pair, but this is the closest thing I had to me. Grab it. You're going to slide that clamp, that spring clamp, down the hose, and then you're going to take this vacuum line, and this is a barbed hose, by the way, the input there. Just grab it and pull it out like that. Be careful though, because if it is seized on there, just from time, you could rip that hose, so be careful when doing that. I know mine's not seized on there because I took it off before and I put it back on. And so now that that's disconnected, set that to the side somewhere, and next we can move on to the sensor. Next, we'll remove the sensor here. It's held on by 2 Allen bolts, and I believe this is a 5/32. My Allen wrench don't say here, so this is just kind of a guess. I believe it's a 5/32 bolt. So, grab your Allen wrench, loosen it up there. And don't drop your Allen wrench as well. Well, I'm going to grab that and we'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back with my Allen wrench and I've went ahead and loosened these here. Go ahead and take these bolts out, set them to the side. And some of you are probably asking, well, why didn't you just disconnect it first? Well, I mean, you don't really need to, you know, it's not like you're replacing it. So just take out the Allen bolts, grab it by the bottom, kind of wiggle it out just like so, and then there's that sensor. Set that to the side, and now we can focus on the clamps. Next, we're going to take off the clamp on the back. This is the one that's toward the engine and not towards the front. Take your little hose clamp here. It's got either a flat head or a 7mm socket head. I like using the socket heads because you can get them tighter and they don't slip like a flat head. You can't stand using flat heads. So just sit here, loosen it up a good amount. There we go, that should be enough. Yep, that should be good there. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to try to take it out of the hose yet. I'm going to go ahead and move to the front, and we're going to remove that clamp now. Alright, so this is the clamp towards the front. I may have a little bit of trouble getting this one because I do have a horn right here that I've installed. So same thing, 7mm ratchet or a flathead. I always use a ratchet as always. It's just easier for me. Okay, that should be good right there. Now when it comes to removing the driver's side, what I always like to do is I like to lift it from the top first, pop that one out, and then just kind of snake it out through the back. So, and sometimes this is a pain as well because it takes a lot of force and I'm a small guy. So try to wiggle it out here. Oh, just like so. There's that one. And then like I said, take this one, just kind of start twisting it out just like so, and your driver's side is out. Now when it comes to removing the passenger side, not a whole lot to remove compared to the driver's side. You got this clamp, that clamp, if you know, if you're even replacing it with the DDMs. I'm doing DDMs, so it'll be this clamp. I guess I don't have to do that clamp because the whole thing's coming out anyways. So this one and then that one down there. So just two connections for right now. So now that we know what we need to remove, let's follow that procedure. Alright, so since I am going to go ahead and since I do have the new silicone kit, I'm going to go ahead and just remove this guy. That way I only have to worry about that one down there. And that way this is already gone. So to remove these two clamps, these are the factory spring clamps. These are 11mm sockets. Just loosen these up here and be careful if you are jacking with what do you call it, the turbo hose, because the turbo gets really hot, right? So because the turbo gets real hot, this hose is going to get real hot too, so you don't really want to touch that if you've just driven it hard. I don't. I mean, it's not that hot to the touch, but still. Probably something you don't want to do. Alright, that should be enough there. Come on. Yep. That one there. Slide you down there. Let's see if I can get you off. You out there. Let's see if I can twist you off. Alright, there's that one. Alright. Now that's out, I can remove the inlet charge pipe. Alright, next we're going to remove the front clamp for the outlet or inlet charge pipe. It's on the passenger side. And once again, it's a 7mm or a flathead. I like using this off. Okay, that should be good. Now that that's out, we can remove that charge pipe. Alright, so to remove this, just like the driver's side, just take it and yank it out. Twisting does help too. That way it breaks the seal on it. See what I mean? That seal is pretty tight on there. Let's see here. There we go. Oh, Lord. What if I just pulled on it? Nope. Okay, that ain't gonna work. I have enough room. There we go. Yep, now that seal's broken. Pull it right out, just like so. Alright, so now that they're both out, we can take some comparisons between the two brands. Obviously, this one's been in my vehicle for about 2 or 3 years, so it's going to see some wear and tear. However, since it is underneath the vehicle, the sunlight's not really going to mess with the color like I said earlier. So this will show you just how different the paint jobs are between RPMs and DDMWorks. So first and foremost, right off the bat, you can see RPM, different materials. And RPM, they even have a weld seam right here, so it's not just one piece, unlike RPM's is. Under the surface, at least, there could be some kind of joining underneath the paint that we don't see, but knowing DDM, I highly doubt that. RPM, since it is a different material, let's look at the inside. So here is DDMWorks, nice and clean. And by the way, I've had this in storage for probably about two years. So I've had this for 3, I've had this for maybe a year and a half. So this has been still exposed to the weather. It's not temperature controlled or nothing. No rust or anything inside, even though it still hasn't really been out in the elements. RPMs, if we take a look in here, we got some rust forming right there. Let's see here. Can't really see too much on the inside of this one. So a little bit of rust spots. If you look at the driver's side, which I'll show you in a second, there's a lot of rust on the inside. Whereas, of course, DDM's, it's clean as a whistle. But once again, hasn't really been exposed to the weather. So it could be aluminum. It may still be steel. This one for sure has some iron product in it, so it's most likely just bent mandrel steel, which I believe even Martin himself said that, involving the pipes. But anyways, this is RPM's and this is DDM's, even down to the paint. Look how pretty that paint is and kind of how dull this paint is. So take what you want with that. That's the passenger side, and obviously, once again, DDM's, it's much longer, so this will take up some of the room for the silicone pipe that connects to the turbo. So there's the passenger side. Let's look at the driver's side. Alright, so here is the driver's side. As you can see, once again, we see the difference in the paint. One notable difference is RPM has their logo clearly stated on the front. DDM, there's just nowhere to be seen, which is pretty nice. It keeps the engine bay looking clean and not cluttered with a bunch of branding. I like that. Some others, they might like that branding. That's up to them. You know, it's their preference. Me, I'd rather it be decluttered and just clean looking. So, yes, obviously the paint, and then obviously DDMWorks, I did buy theirs with the flange. I think you can buy RPMs with the flange. It's been so long, I can't remember. I think I just, at the time, because it was so expensive and it was on sale, I bought it without the flange. So there's that. Once again, material, RPMs, and then DDM. So clear difference there. Now, one for sure difference is just the weight. RPMs is very weighty, very hefty. And then DDMs, I mean, I can pick that up with one hand. Look at that. So clearly different materials. I'm going to say DDM went ahead and used aluminum, and then RPM used mandrel bent steel, possibly. I don't have a magnet, so I can't, you know, test the two. But that's just my guess. Steel is cheaper, of course, and RPM being a smaller business, I would say, it goes to the cheaper route, of course, for more profit. So that being said, let's look at the inside here. Can't really get a good look because of how dark it is, but as you can clearly tell, that is rust right there, by the way. That's not dirt, that's rust inside of RPMs. Let's check this side here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there you go. Look at all that rust. So, I mean, obviously you're going to get moisture in these pipes, but whether they rust or not is the main factor there. So once again, clean. Once again, been sitting in the storage for a while. So that's the difference between those two. I think, my honest opinion, DDM's is a higher quality, and RPM's, of course, being the maybe younger or smaller business it is, goes the cheaper route. But obviously DDM, as we always expect, to go above and beyond with their customers and their products. So I'm excited to install these. So now that we've seen the difference between these two, let's install them. Alright, now before we install any charges, I do have the silicone kit here, so that means we're going to have to take the old intercooler rubber pipes, hold downs, whatever you want to call them, and replace them with these silicone versions. So let's take out those old ones so we can install these new ones. So you're not going to be able to see it. There's another hose clamp pretty far down deep in there that you need to remove. It's the same type of clamp as the other two, just a lot less space. So once again, 7mm and a flat head, if you can even get to it. I'm going to have a tricky time doing this one. So I may have to remove the horn to get this one. Yeah, let me remove the horn real quick, just so I have that ample room. Alright, so we got the horn removed. It's just a 10mm bolt, and then this little clamp right here, which is actually broken. Whatever. So yes, here we go. Get out of my way. 7mm socket. Once I get this horn pigtail out of the way, yeah, stay in there. Alright. Oh yeah, much more room. That's the way, I like it. Please don't copyright me, YouTube. That's the way, Alright, so loosen this here. I don't know how this is gonna go. This one could be completely seized on there, being that it's been on that intercooler for 15 years now. Actually longer, that's 2008, is that 17 years? What? 2008 to now, 17 years? Pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, still gotta do a little more. Man, this is on there good. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments, or I'll do the math later. Is it 17?
It is 17.
Okay, so it is 17 years. Look at that, I know math. I don't know about that. I flunked math in not high school, college. Yep. Okay, there we go. Clamp is off. And cool, that one actually just slides down, and that went all the way to the intercooler. That's awesome. I'll have to grab it later. Let's see if I can just take this off. Nope. Okay, that's gonna be fun to take off. Okay. Let me get a better angle. See if I can take this off without cutting myself. Oh man, it's on there good. Okay. Let me figure something out. Alright, so I went ahead and grabbed that hose clamp down there, and what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to try to rip it off. Maybe that'll work. Oh, yep, there it is. Cool. So that's off. Let's get to the driver's side. Alright, so we're going to remove the driver's side now, and I went ahead and removed my other horn. You're not going to have one there. That's a mod that I did, and that is like, I'll tell you what, it's one of the best things I've ever done as far as modding my car, is just adding a second horn. And it's not the same tone, it's the high tone horn. We have a low tone horn stock in our cars, and I think some of the Solstices came with a high tone. But so I have a low and a high tone, and I made a video on it a long time ago, but I found out a problem I had was the other horn that I bought was actually still another low tone. I mean, they still sounded a little different, but I went and found a different one, and I'll probably be doing that on the Solstice. Oh, come on, these hose clamps are, ow, there we go. That one's got a barb in it to keep it from coming out. But get you off there. I don't care if you slide down. Go ahead, get out of here. And what is that? Oh, that's not right. Is that a coupling? Oh, that's neat. But anyways, ended up being two low tones, and I replaced it with a high tone, and man, it makes a difference. People can't hardly see in these cars, and it makes the difference. They can hear you then. It's loud. Alright, so I got the hoses off. I'm just gonna yank it out. Come on. Alright, finally got it. Oh, alright, there we go. Alright, so one thing I do want to point out here is if you ever compare the aftermarket charge pipes to the factory charge pipes, a lot of the reason you most likely will get it is just because the factory was smushed, right? It was to provide extra clearance for the hood and all that. The aftermarket ones, they're not like that. They're a complete pipe up top. So a problem that you'll encounter a lot of the times is that it sits too high and it'll start rubbing the hood, or it'll rub the hinge a little bit. As you can see, I have a little wear on my hood right there on the corner. And a way to alleviate this is you air box right here. This keeps the charge pipe lifted. So what a lot of people will do, and even DDMWorks recommends this, taking these little flanges here and just sanding them down a little bit, maybe even up to over here, just so that it lets the charge pipe sit farther down and it's not rubbing up against anything, because that will kill the paint on your charge pipes, just it's sitting there rubbing. So I'm going to get my die grinder and sander, and I'm going to sand these down here. And one thing you also going to want to make sure to do is, if these are exposed, put something over the hole. You don't want trash getting inside of there. So I got a Ziploc bag that I'm just going to be covering that hole with, saran wrap, do whatever. I'm using a Ziploc bag, shove it over that hole, and then I'm going to sand that part down a little bit. So let's go ahead and get to that. Alright, so I got my Ziploc bag in place. Time to get grinding. Alright, so obviously by no means am I a professional, but I think for what I did, it turned out pretty okay. I mean, there's some spots here where I think there was just some holes in the plastic, because after all, this is like ABS plastic, and I kind of started right here, because it's not like I used anything to gouge it out. I think it was just the plastic itself, but other than that, I think it did pretty good. I'll have to test the fit later on to make sure it's actually underneath the clearance, but other than that, I think that turned out pretty well. So let's move on to the other side. And once you're done, don't forget to blow out all the little pieces. Definitely don't want that getting into anything. Alright, so now that that's all done, got this side and I got that side, everything is blowed out. Now we're going to take our couplers here, silicone couplers, take a little bit of oil. I'm going to put it around the inside rim, and maybe even a little oil on the intercooler there. And then I will slide those on. Alright, so I'm getting a little bit of oil. I'm going to line this with the oil real quick. This is just so that the coupling slides in it a lot easier. You don't want a whole lot, just a real thin layer. Even like DWD-40 will work, just to provide a little bit of lubricity on this. I'm going to put a little bit on the inside of the coupler as well. And I'm going to take this guy. Won't slide him on. They do say to use a whatchamacallit, a screwdriver, but I mean, these things are so wide enough that you almost don't have to even do that. So put that on there. I want these to go about halfway when they meet each other on there, so that should be good there. Alright, now that the coupler's on there, I can move on to the other side. Alright, same thing, just a tad bit of oil. Help that slide over. Put it on the cup link. Slide that on like so. And I'm sliding mine just a little bit tad farther down. Oh! Just so that there's not a whole lot of space in between the pipes in the intercooler. I don't want any room for more vacuum than I have to. Now for my clamps, I did buy DDM's T-bolt clamps because I despise worm drive. Worm drive, the ones with the little slots in it, they like to eat up the silicone. I've seen it happen on the radiator hoses, so I went and bought T-bolt clamps for those. DDM doesn't sell those. I had to buy them through Amazon. But anyways, so I am going to go ahead and slide my clamps on under here, and they may just slide down, and that's okay. I ain't too worried about that. Where did I put my other clamp? Here we go. Slide that on there, and then once again, you're gonna want to get some oil, just a tad bit, and put it around the rim of your pipe. Some oil, put it around the rim of your pipe. And I gotta do the back one first. Let me grab some more oil here. Put it on the back. So you gotta just start from the back and then push it down up front. So I'm going to take this here. Come on. Slide them in there as best as I can. Maybe slide that down a tad further. There we go. Come on. Okay. A little further. Oh. Alright, so that's in. And then I'm going to push the front end inside. They do say to use like a flathead screwdriver, but these are plenty big enough to where you shouldn't have to do that. Come on. A little further in, please. You know what? Let me grab a flathead. Alright, so I gave in and got a flathead. Whatever. Work it around. I just didn't want to scratch the paint. Well, that did me wonders, huh? Okay. Maybe you do need a flathead. Okay, I'll say that. Maybe you do need a flathead. Push that in. Make sure it's all lined up. Should be good there. I'm gonna go to the front, kind of realign my coupling real quick, and then we'll deal with the rest of that. All right, so now we're gonna tighten down our T-clamps. I had to fish these out from the intercooler abyss. Whenever you tighten these on, I think the service manual says to do like 89-inch pounds, I want to say. I don't have the number memorized, but honestly for these, for the T-bolts, you just pretty much tighten them until they're on snug, because they got like a little spring system, you know. And you want to make sure you have them angled the correct way as well, because if you have them too far over, see how I kind of had a hard time getting it off the bolt. I hope y'all can see it from this side, but you just want to get it an angle to where you can get that socket on no problem. And if you don't, you're going to have a fun time getting it on or off whenever you're done. So I'm going to get this top one snug. Just like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. But the main thing is, whenever you tighten these, you want at least an inch or an inch and a half, or however much room you can get away from the edges of the coupling and as close as you can to the hump. That way it doesn't pop off whenever it's trying to, you know, whenever it's going through boost. So I'm going to get this bottom one tightened. I got this top one good. It's nice and snug. It's not going nowhere. And then we'll move on to the passenger side and do the same thing. Alright, and then for this back side, it's the factory worm drive. So once again, a 7mm. And just get in here and loosen it up if you can. Come on. Or tighten it up, I'm sorry. Alright, get nice and snug. Just like that. And that should be good. Try to twist it if you can. If you can't twist it, you should be good as rain. So now we can move on to the passenger side. Alright, so I'm working down in this area right here. I've already got my first T-bolt, the very bottom one, just so I can keep the distance between the charge pipe and the intercooler balanced and in the middle. So I went ahead and tightened that one down there. I have the clamp orientated like so where you just pretty much pop it on like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide that one on. Here's my pipe. The straight piece goes right down there. Let's see if I can get it with no flathead. Hey, look at that. I don't need no flathead. Maybe twist it just a tad. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so just like so. And now that that's all in there, I'm going to tighten up that other T-bolt and then we'll work on the back. Alright, so now I'm going to do this top one here, find where the hump is, put it behind it, and then I can get to tightening if I have room. This is also why it's helpful to remove the horn just so that it's not in your way. So where's that hump at? Right there. And then I'll start tightening it. Alright, so we got that one done. Now all we gotta do is put the coupling on the turbo and this hose here. Should just be able to slide right on. Let's see. Yep, that's on right there. And then let's see here. Maybe we should have put this one on first. Well, that's nice. Okay. Let me grab my flat head real quick and see if I can circle it around. Here we go. There we go. There we go. I'll slide out from that pipe. Oh, there we go. Further. Alright, right there. That one's there. Okay, that should be good. Now I can add my clamps, which I didn't even put on. So let me take this back off and put my clamps on real quick. Alright, so got it back off, put it back on. Now I got my clamps on there. Now it's time to tighten these up. Once again, 10mm, and you don't really have a lot of room to work with, which is kind of crazy to me, but I mean, I guess you do what you gotta do. So let's get these tightened. Alright, so I got those tightened now. Those ones kind of gave me a little bit of trouble down there, but I mean, I guess it's alright. I did notice something, that because it's so close to the freaking clip on the airbox, that kind of chipped paint a little bit. So I'm a little upset about that. But all in all, it's all good and set down. It's not rubbing the bottom of the airbox. I mean, it might be. Hang on a second, sorry. It might be, but I don't think it is. It should have ample room. I did trim them, so it should be able to seat down a little farther. So now that that's on, let's get our little clamps for the side. These are the factory ones that we're going to be screwing in. I took them off a long time ago because, of course, RPMs, I didn't order theirs with the flange. But now that I do, time to bring those back out and screw them in. So first off, there's one nut down here. It's going to be this back one, not the front one. It's a 10mm bolt. Come on. Loosen that up, and that should just slide right off. Maybe not like candy, but come on. Alright, there's the nut, and now I can get my little hold down ready. Alright, so when installing these, it's going to be in this orientation. You're going to slide it in little hold down, or the bolt right there, and then you're going to attach this. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to attach the flange first. That way it's on there, and then whenever I screw it down, it actually seats it and presses it down and keeps it in place instead of trying to force this down into the hole. So let's see here. Now they do say to use spring clips. I never had spring clips on mine. I had one of these and a bolt and a nut, which my Solstice does as well. So it should still work. I'm just gonna have to squeeze it in there a little bit. I'm hoping it's not too long. Yeah, it's a little long. I don't know if I like that. Dadgummit. Well, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. No, because look at that, it's not even going on all the way. It'd have to go on crooked. No, that's not gonna work. Dadgummit. Alright, so for this, I don't have the right pieces right now. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it just like that, and we're gonna move on to putting on the vacuum line and the MAP sensor. Alright, so for the MAP sensor, pretty easy. Just take it, slide it down in there. Come on. Pretty tight squeeze on this one. So just like so. Grab your 2 bolts. Get them started by hand. Just like so. Tighten them on. Or at least get them snug. Like so. And then get them snug. Or at least till they bottom out. Remember, this is aluminum, so be very careful. Don't over tighten it or them threads will go and then you're screwed. So now that that's done, we can move on to the vacuum line. For the vacuum line, just grab your hose, force it on there. If you need to, use a little bit of oil. I'm not going to do that. No, actually, hang on a minute. That is loose. That's not good. Let me grab my socket and tighten this down real quick. Alright, so I'm going to tighten this down real quick because apparently it wasn't tightened down. Oops. Wow, that was pretty loose. Alright, just like so, nice and snug. I'm going to go ahead and grab a little oil and just put a real thin layer on here just so it slides on real good. So let me grab that real fast. Alright, so put a little oil on there. See how easy this slides on now. Oh yeah, 9-day difference. Okay, yeah. So definitely put some oil on that just so that it's easier to put on by far. And I can twist it a little bit. That way it's out of the way. Okay. Now that's done, grab my pliers, my oversized pliers. Let's see here. Grab that, bring it on down. Come on. I really should have some regular sized pliers, or use some regular sized pliers. Slide that down, not all the way to the base though, about in the middle like so. That ain't gonna come off. Good job. Alright, and now that that's done, I'll have to order some stuff for the flanges. I guess I don't have them, either that or they're still on the old original factory pipes, so I'll have to take a look at that. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So let's take a look at these here. So here's all of that. So looking pretty good. I like it. Seems to match the color more, at least on the outside, not the inside. Inside's a little yellow because they didn't use clear coat. But other than that, I like it. Looks really nice. So that's how you do that. You finish the procedure. Alright, thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope that it helped you out and that you learned something new. I want to remind y'all to check out the website, kaswellskappa.wixsite.com. A lot of cool info on there, like brochures and pages from the service manual. So be sure to give it a look. And I will see y'all next time. Until then.